Hello, good morning from Lincolnshire. It's your old pal Andrew Whitehouse again, and today I'd just like to talk to you for a couple of minutes about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Used to be called fetal alcohol syndrome, now fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, FASD. So if you see it written down anywhere, that's what it is. It's interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why it's a spectrum in a few minutes' time, or in a minute or so's time. But first of all, let me just explain what it is. It is a neurological disorder. It's in fact not a processing disorder. It's actual brain damage. If you want to get an idea of how the brain is damaged, go online, get onto Google images and type in FASD brain, and you will see some of the differences between a neurotypical brain and a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder brain. You see the normal brain or the neurotypical brain is round and puffy and symmetrical. Quite often the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder brain is shriveled up. I always think it looks a bit like a walnut, and can be much, much smaller. So it is brain damage. Now that has a massive implication when you are working with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, because you haven't got the neurological pathways to work with that you might have, say, for autism or ADHD. How do you get it? A lot of people think, I've just been speaking to a colleague just a moment ago, that it is people who parents, mothers who have drank heavily during pregnancy and have, as a result, their child has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. That is not necessarily the case. You could drink heavily throughout a pregnancy and have a child with no difficulties whatsoever. You could have one little drink at just the wrong time, almost a sip at just the wrong time, and it can cause all untold damage. So we used to say that you shouldn't drink in the first trimester, but you're okay in the second and third trimester. We now know this is not the case, and that fetal alcohol spectrum disorder can happen at any point during pregnancy. So you don't have to be an alcoholic. What does it look like? Well, physically, and this is where we get into the spectrum, physically it can be very, very different to a neurotypical face. We have children with very, very thin lips, pointy chins, sort of that alien eye thing going on, flat bridge of the nose here, no philtrum, or philtrum is the little dip here, no philtrum. They can be very, very small, or there could be no physical representations whatsoever. Having said that, it's quite incredible, because when I go into schools, I'm a bit known for picking it up in children 8-9 years old where nobody's actually noticed. How does it present? Well, it presents a little bit like a cross between autism and ADHD, and it can look very like autism or ADHD, but your big problem with that is, because there is no damage to the autistic or ADHD brain, or not because of autism and ADHD, we can then work on the pathways, we can work with the neuroplasticity, and we can make changes to the brain by social stories or whatever kind of interventions we're using. This will not work so well in fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. In fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, you do not have necessarily the raw material, the brain, to work with. So although the presentations are the same, the interventions are different, and there is a very limited number of interventions that you can put in place. Of course, because these presentations are similar, we do get a lot of misdiagnosis as well, where it is believed to be autism, it is believed to be ADHD, but actually it is not. So a little bit of information there on what is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. See you next time, friends.